Hey guys, good evening, and welcome back again to your Unacademy NEET English channel. I hope all of you are doing great, having a good time. So my dear students, can you quickly let me know in the chats if all of you can hear me, if I'm perfectly audible, visible to every one of you? Can you quickly let me know in the chats if all of you can hear me, if I'm perfectly audible, visible to every one of you? Let me know quickly in the chat. Everyone. All right, people. All right. Perfect. Perfect. So as you all must be knowing, today I have kept a very short and precise session of around 30 to 40 minutes, wherein I'll let you know exactly, I'll show you how do we draw the graphs which are used in chemistry very easily, right? So after watching this particular session, you should be in a position to draw all the graphs of chemistry on your own, okay? So I would want you guys to watch this particular session till the end, because after watching this session, I'm assuring you one thing, that you will be in a position to draw each and every graph of chemistry on your own, provided you know the basic equation. That's it. All right, so is everyone ready? Duration is going to be short, 30 to 40 minutes, not more than that. Is everyone ready, people? Say yes or no in the chats quick. Say yes or no in the chats quick. Say yes or no in the chats quickly, if everyone is ready. Yeah? All right, people. So without wasting a lot of time, let's get going. Let's get started. And let's get to know how do we draw the graphs in chemistry. My dear students, the first and the basic thing with which I'll be starting this particular session, I am pretty much sure that all of you would have heard about this equation. Y is equal to mx. I believe every one of you would have heard about this equation. Y is equal to mx, correct? My dear students, since I wrote an equation here, y is equal to mx, now I'm asking you to plot a graph. I'm asking you to plot a graph between what? I'm asking you to plot a graph between y and x over here. I'm asking you to plot a graph between y and x over here. Pretty much simple. What you'll be doing? For example, this is your y-axis. This is your x-axis, right? And you have to plot a graph between y and x over here for the equation y is equal to mx. Let me tell you, if you need to draw the graph between y and x for the equation y is equal to mx, the nature of the graph will be straight line passing through origin. It is going to be straight line passing through origin, my dear students. Number one. Now, since it's going to be a straight line passing through origin, right? It is going to be a straight line passing through origin. Now, over here, if I ask you what this M represents, let me tell you, this M represents nothing but this M represents slope. And what is slope exactly? Slope is equal to tan of theta. Slope is equal to tan of theta. Now, you must be thinking what this theta is. Let me tell you, theta is the angle which this line makes with the positive x-axis in the anti-clockwise direction. This is something I call as theta, right? This is something I call as theta over here. Now, my dear students, as you can see, theta is coming out to be acute here. It is acute. And tan of acute angle will be positive, right? So first of all, whenever you have to plot a graph between y and x for the equation y is equal to mx, the nature of the graph is going to be a straight line passing through origin. This M represents the slope over here. Slope is nothing but tan of theta. Theta is nothing but, it is the angle which the graph makes with the positive x-axis in the anti-clockwise direction. Is this clear to everyone? Quickly in the chats, people. Is this clear to everyone? Yes. Now, my dear students, for example, I'm writing an equation here. I'm writing y is equal to 5x. I wrote an equation here, y is equal to 5x. And I am asking you to draw the graph. I'm asking you to draw the graph between y and x. I'm asking you to draw the graph between y and x for the equation y is equal to 5x. The equation is given to us, y is equal to 5x. And I'm supposed to plot a graph between y and x. First of all, do you see one thing? Do you see the resemblance of this equation with what? Do you see resemblance of this particular equation with y is equal to mx? Do you see these two equations are resembling? Of course, right? As you can see, this is y, this is y. This is x, right? That means when you compare these two equations, you are getting the value of m here as 5. You are getting the value m here as 5. And what is m? M is nothing but slope. Slope is nothing but tan theta. So technically, you are getting tan theta value here. So tan theta value is equal to 5. Or you can say theta is equal to tan inverse of 5. Perfect. And since this equation resembles with our y is equal to mx, so the nature of the graph is going to be a straight line passing through origin. And the angle which this straight line makes with the positive x-axis in the anti-clockwise direction, I call this as theta. And my dear students, theta over here is nothing but tan inverse of 5. Pretty much simple. Yes? Perfect. Similarly, this was my first equation whose graph you understood right now. After some time, you'll understand exactly where all I use these graphs in chemistry. First of all, let me make you understand all of these things. My dear students, the second graph which you need to learn, which you need to know, what is that? I'm going to write an equation y is equal to mx plus c. I'm writing an equation y is equal to mx plus c. Now, first of all, as I told you already, this m represents what? This m represents slope. And this c is called as intercept. C is called as intercept. What is meant by intercept? You'll understand in some time. First of all, you have the equation y is equal to mx plus c. And you want to plot a graph between y and x. You want to plot a graph between y and x. Whenever you need to plot a graph between y and x, or the equation y is equal to mx plus c, y is equal to mx plus c, what would be the nature of the graph? The nature of the graph is going to be a straight line. The nature of the graph is going to be, first of all, the straight line. Now, my dear students, this straight line will be something like this. Starting from here, for example, and it's going to be like this. Okay? First of all, if I ask you, what about the slope? What about the slope? Slope is nothing. The value of m, which you already know, that is equal to tan of theta, right? And you know theta is the angle which this line makes with the positive x-axis in the anti-clockwise direction. This is theta over here. Perfect. Is theta here acute or obtuse? Theta is acute. And tan of acute angle will be positive. That means m value, slope here is positive. For this particular graph, as you can see, slope is coming out to be positive, right? Now, my dear students, the distance from the origin to the point, the distance from the origin to the point from where the graph starts, this distance we represent with c. And this c is called as intercept. This c is called as intercept here. Look at the sign of c here. It is positive here. So the graph is starting above the origin. If it was negative, the graph would have started below the origin. If it was y is equal to mx minus c, if it was mx minus c, the graph would have started below the origin. Now, the sign of c here is positive. That is why the graph is starting above the origin, c units above the origin. Okay? For example, understand. Let's say you have got the equation something like this. Y is equal to 4x plus 3. You have got the equation y is equal to 4x plus 3. Now, first of all, check it out. Is this equation resembling with our equation? Y is equal to mx plus c. Yes, it's resembling with our equation. Y, x, right? So when you compare these two equations, you can clearly say the value of m here is 4, right? And the value of c here is 3. Perfect. M is 4. What does that mean? That means tan of theta is equal to 4. Tan of theta is equal to 4 means theta is equal to tan inverse of 4. Perfect. Now, if you want to plot a graph, since the given equation resembles with our equation, y is equal to mx plus c. So, if you want to draw a graph between y and x, the nature of the graph is going to be similar, right? This is your y is equal to mx plus c graph. Now, if I ask you what about the theta angle? The theta angle you have already calculated. Theta here will be tan inverse of what? Tan inverse of 4. The distance from here to here is what you call as intercept. The distance from here to here is what you call as intercept. Intercept means the value of c, and c value is nothing but 3 here. Perfect. Pretty much simple. This was my second graph, which all of you want to know. My dear students, the third one. Y is equal to mx minus c. Y is equal to mx minus c. Y is equal to mx minus c. Look at the equation carefully. Look at the sign of m here. Do you see positive here or negative? It is positive. M here is positive. It is y is equal to plus mx plus c basically. M is positive. M is positive means slope is positive. Slope positive means tan theta positive. When is tan theta positive? When theta is acute. When is tan theta positive? When theta is acute. Look at the sign of c here. C is negative. C is negative. That means the graph won't be starting above the origin. It will be starting c units below the origin. It will be starting c units below the origin. For example, if you want to plot it as well, you can do that. This is your y-axis. This is your x-axis, my dear students. And this is the origin. This is the origin here, right? Let me extend this y-axis over here. Okay, this is the origin. This is the origin. Since the graph is supposed to be a straight line with positive slope, so it is going to be a straight line with positive slope. But is it going to start above the origin or below the origin? It will start below the origin, for example, from here. And it will go something like that. Okay? The distance from origin to the point from where the graph starts, that's what you call as your intercept, right? Which is denoted by c. Perfect. And my dear students, this m over here is what you call as, you know that already, m is equal to slope. M is nothing but the slope. And slope is tan of theta. And theta you already know, that is the angle which the graph makes with the positive x-axis in the anti-clockwise direction. So this is theta. Theta over here, as you can see, it is acute. And tan of acute angle. Tan of acute angle. The value comes out to be positive. So slope is positive. That's why basically m value here is positive. The sign of m is positive here. For example, you have got the equation like this. You have got the equation. Y is equal to 4x minus 2. Y is equal to 4x minus 2. First of all, you want to plot a graph between y and x. Do check, first of all, is the given equation resembling with our equation? Y is equal to mx minus c? Absolutely. Right? It's resembling with our equation. Now, my dear students, if it is resembling with our equation, now you have to plot a graph between y and x. You can do that. This is the origin. Extend this y-axis here. Perfect. Y is equal to mx minus c. It is going to be a straight line starting down the origin, right? So it will start down the origin, for example, from here, like this. The distance from origin to the point from where the graph starts. The distance from origin to the point from where the graph starts is your intercept, right? And the value of c. I mean, the graph is going to start 2 units down the origin here. Perfect. And my dear students, this angle over here is something I call as theta. And I believe all of you are in a position to check what is theta. Theta is nothing but it is tan inverse of 4, right? Because when you compare m value is equal to 4, m is equal to 4 means tan theta 4. Tan theta 4 means theta is equal to tan inverse. Is it simple? Yeah? Everyone in the charts once? After some time, after 10 to 15 minutes, you'll understand where all I'm going to use these graphs in chemistry. All right. Now, let's have a look on one more equation. I'm writing one more equation, my dear students. This is the fourth case which we have. Y is equal to minus mx plus c. Y is equal to minus mx plus c. Now, look carefully. Y is equal to minus mx plus c. Do you see the value of slope positive or negative? Slope is negative. Slope is negative, right? Slope negative means slope is negative. That means tan of theta is negative. Tan theta negative means theta is acute or obtuse. Theta is going to be obtuse. Look at the sign of this C. It is positive. It is positive. That means the graph will be starting above the origin. The graph will be starting above the origin. Or the slope has to be negative. Slope has to be negative. So what should be the nature of the graph? If you want to plot a graph between y and x here, you can easily do that. The graph is going to start above the origin. Above the origin. Now, it is going to be either straight line like this or straight line like this. What do I have to do? I have to show the slope as negative. I have to show theta as obtuse. The graph is going to be like this, right? If you see the angle which this line makes with the positive x-axis in the anti-clockwise direction, that is theta, and theta, as you can see, it is obtuse over here. Perfect. And the distance from here to here is something which you call as intercept, and intercept is represented by what? It is represented by c. Okay. Now, for example, people, let's say you have got the equation like this: y is equal to minus 3x plus 2. Can you plot the graph between y and x here? Easily, I believe. So, I would say the given equation resembles with my equation. My equation is y is equal to minus mx plus c. And y is equal to minus mx plus c. The graph is like this. So, you can plot a graph easily between y and x here. This is y. This is x. And the graph will be like this. Okay. The distance from here to here is something which you call as intercept. Intercept is denoted by value of c. C value is equal to 2. Right? And this particular angle here, this particular angle, theta. Theta will be equal to tan inverse minus 3. Am I clear, people? Am I clear to everyone? Similarly, there is one more equation needed here in chemistry, I would say. What is that? Whenever you see an equation like this, y is equal to k divided by x. Whenever you see an equation, y is equal to k divided by x, where k is a constant, and you are supposed to plot a graph between y and x. You are supposed to plot a graph between y and x. My dear students, whenever you need to plot a graph between two variables which are inversely proportional to each other, whenever you'll have to plot a graph between two variables which are inversely proportional to each other, the nature of the graph will be something like this. This is called as rectangular hyperbola. This is called as the rectangular hyperbola. It neither cuts the y-axis here, nor it cuts the x-axis. Basically, it cuts the y-axis at infinity. This cuts the x-axis at infinity. But we have got nothing to do with that. Just remember, it neither cuts your y-axis nor cuts your x-axis. This graph is called as rectangular hyperbola. Now, for example, you have got any equation like this. For example, you have got the equation xy is equal to 5. Xy is equal to 5. The equation is like this. Xy is equal to 5. So basically, it is written like this. Y is equal to 5 by x. Y is equal to 5 by x. 5 is your constant. So technically, it resembles with y is equal to k by x. Correct? And y and x are inversely proportional. And when you have to plot a graph between two variables which are inversely proportional to each other, what is the nature of the graph? It's the rectangular hyperbola. You know it. Am I clear to everyone? Quickly, people. Yeah? There is one more graph which is used in chemistry. What is that? I'm going to write an equation here. Equation is y is equal to kx square. Y is equal to kx square. Y is equal to kx square. And you have to plot a graph between y and x. You have to plot a graph between y and x. The equation is y is equal to kx square. You have to plot a graph between y and x. The nature of the graph is going to be parabola opening upwards. Parabola opening upwards. So it's going to be like this. Parabola opening upwards. But in chemistry, we only require graphs in first quadrant. So I'm going to only make it is this part. Otherwise, it's like this. It's like this. But in chemistry, we require the graph only in first quadrant. So that's why I have mentioned only this particular part here. Okay. So this is for what? Y is equal to kx square. For example, you have got the equation. Y is equal to 5x square. The graph is going to be similar like this. Y is equal to 10x square. The graph is going to be similar. This is something which we need in chemistry, basically. There are other formats too. I can write x is equal to ky square. Anything I can write. Okay, anything I can write. But I'm just showing you those graphs which are required in chemistry over here. Okay. Perfect. Am I clear with this? Now, my dear students, one more which is needed, which we require. What is that? That is y is equal to e raised power minus x. Y is equal to e raised power minus x. Y is equal to e raised power minus x. If you want to plot a graph between y and x, it is going to be exponentially decreasing graph. Exponentially decreasing graph, like this. Exponentially decreasing graph. And it also, it does not cut the x-axis here. It is going to cut the x-axis at infinity. So it's exponentially decreasing. So basically it is coming somewhere from here, then decreasing. It's coming somewhere from here, then decreasing. Okay? Y is equal to e raised power minus x. Perfect. Now, my dear students, see how I'm going to draw the graphs now. Okay? Is every single thing clear till here? Yeah? Perfect. Now, guys, I believe you would be in a position to draw each and every graph of chemistry if you just know the equation. That's all. If you just know the equation. For example, in which chapter you have maximum number of graphs? I think in your chapter, in which chapter there are maximum graphs? Maximum graphs are in chemical kinetics. In chemical kinetics chapter, there are a lot of graphs, right? Okay. Now see how you can draw those graphs easily. For example, understand properly what I'm going to say. My dear students, I'm giving you the equation. R is equal to K concentration of A raised power 1. Leave this equation. I mean, you have got nothing to do with this particular equation basically, right? This is something which we'll study in chemical kinetics, correct? I'm just writing the equation. R is equal to K, A raised power 1. Okay? And I'm asking you to plot a graph. I'm asking you to plot a graph between rate versus concentration of A. Now, you should be in a position to make it. First of all, if you see, this R you are plotting along y-axis. Concentration of A you are plotting along x-axis. So, instead of R, I'm going to write Y is equal. Instead of A, I'm going to write X. This automatically becomes your M. Y is equal to Mx. The nature of the graph is going to be a straight line. Y is equal to Mx. The nature of the graph is going to be a straight line. Now, my dear students, if you ask me what is the slope of this graph, slope means M value, and M here is equal to K. Simple. Yeah? Pretty much simple. For example, my dear students, for example, I have got the equation like this. R is equal to K, concentration of A raised power 0. R is equal to K, concentration of A raised power 0. And I have to plot a graph between what? I have to plot a graph between R and concentration of A. What would be the nature of the graph? First of all, it is A raised power 0. A raised power 0 is 1. A raised power 0 is 1. So technically it means R is equal to K. I can say R is equal to K. So it means that R does not depend upon A. R does not depend on concentration of A. So that means if you increase the concentration of A or decrease the concentration of A, nothing is going to happen to the R. R value remains as such. If you increase the concentration of A or decrease the concentration of A, nothing is going to happen to the value of R. Right? So the graph will look like this. Do you understand? Yeah? Perfect. For example, my dear students, let's say you have got the equation like this. You have got the equation AT is equal to A naught minus KT. This is the equation which you have. Okay? And for example, I'm asking you to plot a graph between AT and T. I'm asking you to plot a graph between AT and T. AT and T. Now understand. AT you are plotting along y-axis. T you are plotting along x-axis. Equation already you have. Now, my dear students, AT you are plotting along y-axis. T you are plotting along x-axis. Right? Before x, what do we write? We write M before x. The sign here is minus. And this term I'll be calling as C. And here it's equal to. Look at the format of the equation. Look at the format of the equation, people. Look at the format of the equation. Y is equal to minus mx plus c. Y is equal to minus mx plus c. Do you remember what is the graph for y is equal to minus mx plus c? The graph is something like this. And its slope is equal to minus k here when you compare. And the distance from here to here is what you call as intercept. Intercept is represented by c, and c value here is nothing but a naught. Understood? Yes? For example, my dear students, you have got the equation like this. T half is equal to a naught divided by 2k. This is the equation. T half is equal to a naught by 2k. Now you have to plot a graph between, for example, you have to plot a graph between T half and a naught. You have to plot a graph between T half and a naught. T half and a naught. Can I do one thing? Can I write it like this? T half is equal to 1 by 2k multiplied by a naught. I can write it like this, 1 by 2k multiplied by a naught. Yeah? One and the same thing, 1 by 2k multiplied by a naught. Now this T half you are plotting along y-axis and a naught you are plotting along x-axis. So T half you are plotting along y-axis, a naught you are plotting along x-axis. This particular term I'll be calling as m, and the sign here is equal to y is equal to mx. Straight line passing through origin. And if you talk about its slope is nothing but m, and m value here is 1 upon 2k. This is your m value, 1 upon 2k. Perfect, guys? Am I clear with this? Yeah? All right. Going on to few more graphs. For example, you have to plot a graph for this. I'm writing an equation first of all. Ln of 80 is equal to ln of a naught minus kt. This is your equation for example. And you have to plot a graph between what? You have to plot a graph between ln of 80 versus t. You need to plot a graph between ln 80 versus t. So look carefully. Ln 80 you are plotting along y-axis. T you are plotting along x-axis. Right? So ln 80 you are plotting along which axis? Y-axis. T you are plotting along x-axis. This automatically becomes your m. Sign here is minus. This is what I call as c. And here it's equal to. The equation format is y is equal to minus mx plus c. Y is equal to minus mx plus c. Few minutes back only I showed you it's a straight line with negative slope. Right? And people, if you ask me about its slope means minus k here. Nothing. Right? And the distance from here to here is something I call as intercept, which I denote with c. And c is equal to ln of a naught when you compare. Yeah? I believe it's clear. For example, you have got an equation like this. Log of 80 is equal to log of a naught minus k divided by 2.303 multiplied by t. This is the equation, okay? This is the equation. Now you need to plot a graph between what? You need to plot a graph between log of 80 versus t. Log of 80 versus t. Now log 80 you are plotting along y-axis, and this t you are plotting along x-axis. Log 80 you are plotting along y-axis, and this t over here you are plotting along x-axis. This complete term becomes your m. Sign here is minus, and this is something I call as c, and here it's equal. Y is equal to minus mx plus c. Y is equal to minus mx plus c. Again, y is equal to minus mx plus c. The graph is a straight line with negative slope, right? And people, if I ask you, what about the slope? Slope is equal to minus k divided by 2.303. Slope means m value, which is minus k upon 2.303. The distance from here to here is something you call as intercept, which is denoted with c. And c is nothing but log of a naught. Got it? Got it, people? Got it. Everyone? Okay, for example, you have got one more equation. Let's say the equation is like this. 80 is equal to a naught e raised power minus kt. 80 is equal to a naught e raised power minus kt. And my dear students, I want you to plot a graph between AT and t. I want you to plot a graph between AT and t. 80 you're plotting along y-axis. So this is your y, right? Leave this a naught aside. E raised power minus k, and this is t here. E you're plotting along x-axis. Do you see the format of the equation somewhat around? Y is equal to e raised power minus x types. Y is equal to e raised power minus x types. And y is equal to e raised power minus x. I told you already, that is exponential decrease. So let me start somewhere from here. Technically, it should be closer to this. I'm showing it like, okay, it's going to be like this. Is this graph going to touch the time axis here? No, it's going to touch the time axis at infinity. Why is that? There are reasons, right? When you talk about first order kinetics. I'm not going to the reasons and all. I'm just showing you how to draw the graphs basically. Okay. For example, Readiness equation, I believe every one of you would have. I mean, you would be knowing Readiness equation. I'm writing one of the format of Readiness equation. Ln of k is equal to ln of a minus EA divided by RT, or EA divided by R into 1 by T. This is the equation. This is your Readiness equation. One of the logarithmic forms of Readiness equation. And for example, you need to plot a graph. The graph is between ln of k and 1 by t. Graph you have to plot between ln k and 1 by t. Now, my dear students, ln k you are plotting along y-axis. 1 by t you are plotting along x-axis. So ln k you are plotting along y-axis. 1 by t, this entire term, you are plotting along x-axis. This becomes your m. The sign here is minus. This c. Y is equal to minus mx plus c. Again, it's something like this. When you talk about its slope is equal to minus EA bar. And when you talk about its intercept means the value of c, and c is nothing but ln of a. Done, understood, right? Yeah? Perfect. Okay, for example, I'm giving you an equation. Equation is t half is equal to 0.693 divided by k. This is the equation. T half is equal to 0.693 divided by k. Now, my dear students, I want you to plot a graph. Graph between what? Graph between t half and a naught. Graph between t half and a naught. Graph between t half and a naught. Now, in this equation, do you see a naught somewhere? In this equation, do you see a naught somewhere? No. So t half is independent of a naught. T half is independent of a naught. That means if you increase the value of a naught, decrease the value of a naught, nothing is going to happen to t half. It's going to be a straight line parallel to a naught axis. Yeah? Correct, people? Am I clear? Am I clear? Okay, for example, you have to plot a graph like this. Let's say I'm first of all writing the equation. Equation is k is equal to 1 by t ln of a naught by 80. This is your equation, for example, okay? Now you have to plot a graph between ln of a naught by 80 versus t. Ln of a naught by 80 versus t. This is the graph which you have to plot. Now, first of all, I have to plot a graph between ln a naught by 80, right? So let me shuffle this equation a bit. Let me rearrange the equation a bit. I'll write it like this. Ln of a naught by 80 is equal. Ln of a naught by 80 is equal to k into t, right? K into t. Now look carefully. This ln of a naught by 80 you are plotting along y-axis, t you are plotting along x-axis. So this ln of a naught by 80, this entire term you are plotting along y-axis, and t you are plotting along what? T you are plotting along x-axis. So this automatically becomes your m, and sign here is equal. So y is equal to mx, and y is equal to mx means straight line passing through origin. If I ask you about its slope, slope means the value of m, and m value is nothing but k. M value is nothing but k. Clear with this? Yes? Now I believe you can easily draw whatever graph is required in chemistry. You would be in a position to draw each and every graph, provided you know the equation. If you know the equation, that's all. If you know the equation, that's it. Yeah? Got it, people? And for all those students who would want to be the part of our Phoenix through 3.0 batch, well, we have already started Phoenix 2.0. That's currently going on, right? For all those who do not know. So basically, there are a lot of students who are waiting for the NEET results, right? Perfect. And those students who could not crack it, for them, we are going to start a new batch, which is Phoenix 3.0 batch, completely dedicated for the NEET 2027 aspirants. And my dear students, the batch is starting on 25th of July, right? The batch is starting on 25th of July. And in this particular batch, your complete syllabus, entire syllabus of physics, chemistry, biology will be completed by January end. And once the syllabus gets completed, you need not to join any crash course batch. You need not to buy any crash course batch because crash course is included here in the batch itself. In the month of Feb and March, we'll be doing the revision through crash course, right? All the chapters in physics, chemistry, biology, every single thing will be started from the basics, right? Complete theory, all the theory in the chapter, all the problem patterns in the chapter, they are included here. And at the same time, every single day, you'll have 4 live classes with us, okay? You'll have every day you'll have 4 live classes with us. And the level of the lectures, particularly in physics and chemistry, will be of JEE mains level. It is going to be JEE mains level, okay? Perfect, because we do not know what is going to be the level of NEET 2027 examination. So you have to prepare for the worst, basically. Worst is paper can be difficult. So we have to level up our preparation, basically. So leveling up the preparation means we have to level up the lectures. We have to level up solving. We have to level up the study material. We have to level up the tests. So every single thing will be level up here. Perfect. JEE mains level test series is included. You need not to worry about the study material. Study material will be provided to you as well, right? That will be also the JEE mains level study material, which you need to solve. Perfect. And no need to worry again about the all India test series. That's included. And my dear students, physics will be taken care by Yavar sir. Chemistry will be taken care by me and KK sir. Biology will be taken care by Tina ma'am. Also, you'll be having the access to all the batches of Unacademy for NEET 2027, absolutely free of cost. Okay. And no need to worry about the mentorship. Mentorship is also included here in the batch, right? After every 14 days, we'll make you write the tests. And once you write the test, my dear students, after that, we are going to analyze your scores and we'll keep on having some sessions with you wherein we'll keep you updated where you are lagging, how you can improvise, etc. All those. Perfect. So the batch is starting on 25th of July, which is Phoenix 3.0. Be the part of the batch as soon as possible. If you do not know how to enroll into the batch, there is a link which is there in the description box, or you can see one link which is pinned in the chats. You just need to click on that link. After clicking on the link, you just have to choose either Plus subscription or Iconic subscription or Iconic Pro. Now you must be thinking, what is the difference between all the 3 subscriptions? In Plus subscription, Iconic or Iconic Pro, you get the access to all the batches of Unacademy for 1 complete year. Whether you want to study from my team, whether you want to study from Seep Ma'am's team, whether you want to study from another team, there are multiple teams in Unacademy for NEET 2027 preparation, right? You'll be having the access to all the batches, whether you are taking Plus, Iconic or Iconic Pro. So what is the difference between them? Difference lies in the study material first of all. In Plus subscription, you get the study material in the form of PDF. In Iconic subscription, you get study material in the form of booklets like this. And these booklets are delivered to your house. And in Iconic Pro, you get everything, right? One extra thing you get there, what is that? That extra thing is going to be, you get weekly mentorship sessions with the AIMS toppers, okay? That's also one more feature there. The AIMS toppers, All India Rank 1, All India Rank 2, they'll be your mentors for 1 complete year. And apart from us, they'll be also guiding you for 1. If you want to be the part of the batch is starting on 25th. That means day after tomorrow. Right now, after watching the video, watching this particular session, you can enroll into the batch as soon as possible. And let's kickstart the preparation again for year 2027 since 9 months left. You need not worry about anything. Study material, your lectures, tests, right? Every single thing is going to be level up for. Okay. There'll be doubt solving sessions as well. Again, you need not worry about that. There will be doubt solving sessions conducted as well. See, the lectures are going to be live. So during the live, if you face any sort of difficulty, if you have any sort of doubt, you can ask the doubt itself during the live itself. And apart from that also, there are some doubt solving sessions scheduled. Okay. Chalo, I'm going to take a leave with this. I'm going to take a leave with this. If you have any sort of doubts related to anything related to the Phoenix 3.0 batch, you can let me know in the comment section. I hope this particular session was useful, right? I hope you would be in a position to draw each and every graph in chemistry. Just know that. Yeah. Do let me know in the comment section how you liked the session, whether it was beneficial. With this, I'll be taking a leave. Take care. God bless you all. And